What's up everybody, it's Max Digital here. In this video I'm going to compare the OnePlus Nord N10 5G, which is pictured on the left, and the OnePlus 7C pictured on the right. Both of these are some really cool phones with a lot of good value for its price. Let's take a deep dive at the specs and let's see what we come out with. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the price. The N10 5G is currently being sold for $300 from OnePlus directly. It's fully unlocked. Or you can get it here in the United States on Metro by T-Mobile prepaid. You can get it for $50 when you bring in your number. At one point, this phone was actually free when you brought in your number. So this phone has had a lot of value with the price. As the OnePlus 7C right now, it's currently sold for $400 from the OnePlus website, and you're getting a lot of specs for both of these devices. So the OnePlus Nord N10 5G was released in October of 2020, and then it came to Metro prepaid in January of 2021. The OnePlus 7C was released in September of 2019, so it is the older device, but it was marketed more as a more premium device than the N10 5G right off the bat. For the size of these devices, they're almost the same. The OnePlus Nord N10 5G is 6.4 inches tall, while the OnePlus 7C is 6.3 inches tall, and they both weigh exactly 6.7 ounces, so not too heavy, not too light. Both of these feel just about right in the hand. For the build quality, the N10 5G has a glass front, plastic back, plastic frame. The OnePlus 7C has a glass front, glass back, and aluminum frame. So the build quality is just way better on the OnePlus 7C, and for good reason. It was marketed at a higher price when it was released, and it was a more premium device. That's how it was marketed as before the price went down to currently $400. Both of these phones feature dual SIM capabilities, so you could have two different data services, two different phone numbers. Really good for travelers or anybody that just wants to have a lot of different variety and choice in their carriers. Now for the display, these phones both have around a 6.5-inch screen. The Nord N10 has an IPS LCD at 90 Hz refresh rate, while the 7C has a Fluid AMOLED at 90 Hz refresh rate for the display. The resolution on both of these are both 1080p Full HD display resolution, 20:9 ratio, so very tall device, and similar PPI, pixels per inch, 406 on the N10, 402 on the 7C. Gorilla Glass 3 protection on the N10, Gorilla Glass 5 on the 7C. So these screens are almost pretty much the same. Probably wouldn't notice them unless you stuck them together with the naked eye. As for the software, they are both running Android 10, and they have Oxygen OS on top, but they feel very close to stock Android, except for a few things that OnePlus added, a few helpful features, but it's really close to stock. Unfortunately, these aren't going to be updated a lot in the future for future updates. These aren't pixels by any means, and it looks like the N10 5G is probably only going to get one update. I really don't know about the OnePlus 7C, although it's an older device. For the chipset, they are both rocking Qualcomm Snapdragons. You get the 690 5G on the N10, and you get the Snapdragon 855 Plus on the 7C. Both of these are very capable chipsets, but the more impressive one is, and snappier one, is going to be on the OnePlus 7C. Even though it's a little bit older, it is way fast. It is just, this phone was a premium phone when it was released, so it's going to outshine the Snapdragon 690 5G. But both of these devices will handle all the apps that you need, gaming and all the apps it throws at it pretty good. You shouldn't have anything crash or stuttering or anything like that. And for the network capabilities, the one selling point of the N10 is that it's 5G, while the OnePlus 7C is not. That is a LTE only device, so that's one big difference. It's a very good advantage for the Nord N10 because it is a $300 budget device and it has 5G. That's one advantage it has over the 7C. moving on to the storage, you get 128 gigs on both of these devices, so that's very good amount of internal storage. You also get the added benefit of having micro SD card slot on the N10 5G. So that's something that the 7C does not have, is expandable storage. So an advantage on the N10 5G, and it's very impressive that it's the more budget priced device. As for the RAM, you get 6 gigs of RAM on the N10, 8 gigs of RAM on the 7C. Both of these amounts of RAM will be good on both of these devices. Obviously, the 7C has more, but both of these phones should handle several apps in the background with no problem. For the camera setup, the N10 has a 4-camera setup, 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth, 2 megapixel macro. 7C has a 48 megapixel main camera, 12 megapixel telephoto, 16 megapixel ultra wide camera. Both of these phones can shoot video at 4K resolution. So very similar camera setup. You have that extra telephoto lens on the OnePlus 7T. But other than that, these will be pretty good to the average person. Nothing too crazy here. These aren't super flagship camera sensors, but it'll definitely do the job and you won't be disappointed. Now for the selfie camera, both of them have a 16 megapixel shooter on the front, and they both shoot video at 1080p. Nothing too impressive, but the quality is there, especially at these price points. So you have dual speakers on both of these phones, except the 7C has stereo speakers. The N10 has the headphone jack, while the 7C does not. So that's one big advantage on the more budget device. So you can hook up your headphones, your mic, and your aux cord to listen to music in your car, for example. So that's one big advantage right there. If you have fully moved on and embraced wireless, both of these phones have Bluetooth. You have 5.1 on the N10, 5.0 on the 7T. Both of these are perfectly fine to hook up your wearables, such as your smartwatch, smart band, wireless headphones, speakers, all types of devices. These will work just fine with them. NFC is available on both of these phones, and that's mostly reserved for Google Pay. And for the connection port for the charge, you both get USB Type-C. Very underrated port. These are the same ports found on multiple devices such as Chromebooks, MacBooks, Windows PCs. You got tablets, you got iPads, you got all sorts of devices. This is a very underrated port. Both of these for security have fingerprint sensors. You have a rear-mounted one on the N10. You have a under-display optical on the 7T. Both of these are reliable ways to open up your phone, except that the more contemporary one is found on the 7T. For the battery department, you have a 4300 milliamp on the N10, and you have 3800 milliamp battery on the 7T. So the advantage goes to the N10, just a bigger battery. It should last you most of the day, but considering it has 5G, it probably will not. And the 7C with 3800 milliamps is not really good size for the processor, and just the amount of things you can do on this phone. It is not going to be enough. You'll definitely need to charge your device. And luckily, both of these phones have fast charging. You got 30 watts on both, and you got that Warp Charge 30T on the OnePlus 7T. So what's the story after comparing both of these devices? Well, both of them are offered at a price point that is compelling to get either of these. They're very closely matched, except that the OnePlus 7T wins out in certain departments. Has that extra telephoto lens. It has, it just has that faster processor, and it's going to have just that more premium build quality. But the N10 5G has 5G, one big advantage over the 7T. The price is lower as well. It could be found on prepaid, and it has a bigger battery, and it has pretty much almost every other same specs. It has the same size screen, same resolution, and it has that micro SD card slot. So there's a lot going for it. These phones are very, very compatible. You won't be disappointed in getting either of these devices. They'll handle all the apps that you need it to handle. Every person should be able to experience one of these devices at this price point. You'll be very impressed. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I have the OnePlus Nord N10 5G on the left and the OnePlus 7T on the right. Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Peace out.